On stage 9, the Heron of Kilburn, as the French press isn't quite calling Bradley Wiggins, turned his long legs into a stunning time trial win, covering 41 kilometres, nearly 2 minutes faster than the defending champion Cadel Evans. On the podium, it was his fist that was pumping, perhaps because he realised that his first ever stage win had taken him a giant step closer to winning his first Tour. What had been a 10-second lead over Evans is up 1,000%. He knows there's no threat from the third-place rider because it's his teammate Chris Froome. And of the serious contenders, only Vincenzo Nibali and Dennis Menchov are within 4 minutes of him, which means they all have to attack.
It's not going to be easy, I tell you. There's going to be a few more ups and downs in this Tour, but we're certainly in a great position.
Well, as predicted by the race leader, stage 10 has both ups and downs, 194.5 kilometres through the Jura to the foot of the Alps. Although the first 75 kilometres or so after the riders roll out of Macon, where they spent the rest day, are actually pretty much flat. The first summit is the second category Col du Grand Colombier at the 90-kilometre mark, and there are sprint points on offer between that and the big challenge of the day, the super category 1,500-metre Col du Grand Colombier, making its Tour debut. It's a long climb, 17 kilometres, and in keeping with the theme of this year's race, steep. That's followed by the Col de Richemont and a fast run into the finish at Bellegarde. Now, of today's ups and downs, it might be the downs that offer more chances to the men chasing the yellow jersey. Cadel Evans is a good descender, and Vincenzo Nibali might be the best in the bunch. So today could be a rerun of stage 5 from last month's Dauphine, when the pair of them attacked Wiggins as they came over the summit of today's big climb.
Think about mountains as they have two sides, and several times over the past few years some decisive time advantages have been gained, not going up but coming down. Descending ability is surprisingly varied within the peloton, and the climbers, if not the worst, are certainly not the best at this. Perhaps that's because they don't get the practice every single day that the sprinters get as they batter down the descents to try and make the time limit.
On these sweeping bends, we're looking at a speed in excess of 50 miles an hour. Sean Yates, a number of years ago when he was still riding, recorded a speed approaching 70 miles an hour.
This disparity amongst the riders is most apparent when several factors come together. It's a medium mountain stage, so some of the most accomplished descenders get over the top in the front group. The descent goes all the way to the finish, and perhaps most important of all, when it's wet. The consequences of getting it wrong in those conditions could be quite substantial. Ouch! Following a natural descender is a risky business, but one in which the poor descenders are forced to indulge so as not to lose precious time. When they do come a cropper, it's usually because they failed to follow one of the 6 fundamental rules. Number 1, do the hard braking before the bend, not in it. Locking up is infinitely more recoverable in a straight line. Number 2, don't enter the apex before you can see the exit. Sean Kelly told me that one when I was a Neo Pro. Disregarding this one is when people simply run outwards and run out of road. Number 3, if it's dry, favour the front brake. Due to inertia, the front wheel is loaded with the rider's weight under braking, so it can take several times the force of the rear wheel before locking up. In contrast, the rear wheel is being unloaded as the rider's weight moves forward, so will start to skid relatively easily. This isn't necessarily a catastrophe if you obeyed Rule 1 and are travelling in a straight line. Number 4, look past the rider immediately in front of you. As far down the road as you can see, it's often possible to see a rider further down the string start to pedal as they go round a corner you'll be at in several seconds. So without being able to see the exit, you can be confident that it's fast around that bend. Although it's also possible they've just ridden into a ditch. Number 5, look where you want to be, not at what worries you, as you'll always gravitate to where you're looking. If the edge of the road is your focus, and it's where you'll probably end up. And lastly, number 6, no matter how scared you are, don't close your eyes. I used to struggle with that one.
Now there's Bradley Wiggins at the start, equalling Chris Boardman's 1994 run of 3 days in the yellow jersey today. A couple of men missing through injury though. World time trial champion Tony Martin of Omega Pharma Quick-Step has gone home to let his broken wrist heal in the hope that he can get ready for the Olympics. Matty Lloyd of Lamprey has gone too with a fractured elbow. Now, if you're watching the rest day programme yesterday, or perhaps just watching the news, you'll have heard about the arrest of the Cofidis rider Remy Di Gregorio as part of a doping investigation. The word from the police is that the investigation is not looking at his team, and Cofidis minus Di Gregorio were all present at the start. Now, a huge breakaway formed early in the stage, 25 men in it, although the highest placed of them was Michele Scarponi at 10 minutes 27. In there, just to survive as far as the intermediate sprint, were Peter Sagan in the green jersey of points leader and Matt Goss lying second. Heading towards the sprint, Goss's Orica Green Edge teammate Simon Guerin started winding up the pace. Sagan was on his own.
200 metres, Sagan goes. Hutrovic is in the white there. He's gone as well. Goss has gone on the right of on the left of the picture, and now he's trying to get on the back wheel. Now Goss normally has been quicker than Sagan at these early sprints, and if our camera can just pull down a little bit, it's on the line, and it is Goss who gets it.
Goss did get it, and Frances de Jeu's Belarusian sprinter Yevgeny Hutrovic beat Sagan to second. So that's 20 points for the win, 17 for second, 15 for third, and Goss shaves 5 points off Sagan's lead. Now, on the big climb of the day, the breakaway group splintered and 4 men went off the front of it. Scarponi, Dries Devenijns of Omega Pharma Quick-Step, Luis Leon Sanchez of Rabobank, and everyone's favourite grimacing breakaway merchant Thomas Voeckler of Europcar led over the summit of the Grand Colombier. Behind them, the group containing Bradley Wiggins and all his main rivals is approaching the summit as we join commentary and anticipating the descent.
As over the top at 5:25, the gap on the peloton for Tommy Voeckler, who was first up the mountain.
5:30 was the time gap for Thomas Voeckler, the official time gap given out by Race Radio. It's down to about 5:11. There's a slight difference between the times that we get with the time on the screen and the computer is that ours is coming to us by GPS. Right, we have now just gone over the summit of the Col du Grand Colombier, peaking out at 1,500 metres. This is the peloton. This is the yellow jersey of Bradley Wiggins. He's got 3 teammates with him: Chris Froome, Richie Porte of Australia, and Michael Rogers of Australia. We've just seen an attack coming here from Jurgen van den Broek, but you won't see any panic coming on board the Mick Rogers Express. These boys have been in this situation before. Mixing it in with them in the red and black jersey there is Cadel Evans, and that I would expect to be a move from Vincenzo Nibali.
Yes, it most certainly is Vincenzo Nibali, and that's caused the reaction from Team Sky and Cadel. Cadel goes through on the inside now, takes up the lead. Just to remind everybody, he's still very much in this race. The camera shining down onto Cadel Evans now. Has decided he jumps. He was a great mountain biker. Don't ever forget that, as he pulled his wheels off the floor there to jump over a slight obstacle in the road. He's also got the yellow jersey right there, Bradley Wiggins. We've gone over the top of the climb now. This is the long, tortuous, and it will become dangerous descent. The gap over the leader, Tommy Voeckler, who we haven't seen for a while, is now 5:11. And we're back with them right now as the 3 chasers have just caught him.
They've all come back together. There's that Cadel Evans taking a few. There's one of the Sky Riders almost missed that corner. They came into it very quickly.
I think he's punctured. There's a problem. I think that's why he took time out. Yeah, it's Mick Rogers, and it is a front wheel or a back wheel. That's why he couldn't get round the corner.
Yeah, and it's not a good time to have that happen to him, Phil, because the team cars are actually going to be a fair way behind. And I think he punctured just as he went into the corner. He was
flat.
Very, very lucky. These are the 4 leaders, though, and they're not worried about time this afternoon. All they're really worried about is trying to get themselves a stage victory, especially Thomas Voeckler and Luis Leon Sanchez.
Well, we're just hearing on Race Radio the group containing the world champion Mark Cavendish from Sky is now within 5 kilometres of the summit of the climb. So they are now a long way behind on the leaders of the race today.
Vincenzo Nibali, just as he did in the recent Criterium du Dauphine, making a move on the descent. He will use every opportunity. He said, I'm not scared of Bradley Wiggins. He says, I'm not impressed by Bradley Wiggins. He said, and I will attack him whenever I can. Now, this could be a help for a move from Cadel Evans. Nibali slipped down the overall standings a little bit. He started up in 3rd place in the overall, and after the time trial, he's dropped down to 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Evans up into 2nd place, and they're all in fact that group is really being reduced in numbers because of the acceleration of the chase behind Vincenzo Nibali. Once they get down into the valley off the summit of the Col du Grand Colombier, they come up to start up the final climb of the day, the Col du Richemont.
Plenty of driving going on at the front now, but the gap is holding at 5 minutes 10 seconds on a very select group of 4 riders: Voigtler, Scarponi, Sanchez and Davenants. The counter moves are coming.
Well, this is a man, Phil, Italian, Vincenzo Nibali. He decided this year that he did not want to ride the Giro d'Italia. He wanted to prepare specifically for the Tour de France. And it's a tough decision for an Italian because the Giro is such a huge event in their country. He, in fact, decided to go to the Amgen Tour of California in the United States to ride there as part of his preparation. Then he came, as did Cadel Evans and Bradley Wiggins, to the Criterium de Dauphine, which is on exactly the same roads that we're riding on this afternoon.
He only has to finish 30 seconds ahead of the group to go up to 2nd place overall today. So he's shooting at Cadel Evans' place, and at 30 seconds, it's looking very, very possible at the moment. As the riders now continue down this mountain, there's one more small climb to come before we go to the finish. This is a terrific move by Liggett and Cannondale, and Sagan again demonstrating to us this man never knows when to stop racing his bike. He's now got his team leader on his back wheel. He will absolutely push himself to his total limit now to open up a gap. Remember, 30 seconds for Nibali at the finish. He's into 2nd place in the Tour.
Ooh, a bit ropey the way Nibali went round there.
This is back to the group. They've reformed again. Luis Leon Sanchez now riding on the shoulder of Tommy Voigtler. Now 4 minutes and 36 seconds to those 2 riders, Nibali and Sagan. 5 minutes 6. There's your half minute.
That's the half minute that he was looking for here this afternoon, and that half a minute has him right up there, not far away from the back wheel of Cadel Evans in the overall standings.
Well, a dead level, so he's another second and he will have it to himself. 5:06, 28 kilometers to go. It's not far today. It's not the end of the climb. We've still got one climb still to come, the Col du Richemont, and it's a short and sharp one, and then it is basically downhill to the finish.
No panic, I don't think, for the moment, because it would really, it's Cadel Evans who sees his 2nd place overall start to get threatened. And look at the way they've almost missed that corner there. They went in that corner, for me, Phil, just a little bit too quickly and had to back off and lost a fair amount of their momentum.
We're looking now at Luis Leon Sanchez. There's the time check, a big 5:17 we're saying on the computer, but the big talking point at the moment is who is hovering at about 4.5 minutes behind them, because that is Vincenzo Nibali being paced by his teammate Peter Sagan to 2nd place overall.
There's a Jean-Christophe Perrault. Now he's too also been picked up.
So this is going to be absolutely amazing now. These 4 riders may have the race stage in the bag, but how much time can Nibali pull back now on Bradley Wiggins? Richie Porte, Chris Froome are driving the peloton as hard as they can at the front now. There's the face of Cadel Evans. That's a face of determination. He won't help them chase down the attack by Nibali. He'll want to use this attack to tire out the men of Team Sky. Take every day as it comes. People who thought it was a done deal with Team Sky walking all over the Tour de France this year, which at times they've given that impression. No, and now Sagan has done the best he can do, and he's cracked. It is now up to the team leader of Liggett Cannondale to ride the last 25.5 kilometres and take time.
Well, the advantage now for Nibali, Phil, is he's on the slopes of this last climb of the day, the Col du Richemont. And if he gets over the summit after 5 kilometres with a 30 or 40 second advantage, he will not lose very much on the descent, because it descends straight into the town of Bellegarde and then into Bellegarde-sur-Valserine.
Nibali currently up into 2nd place in the Tour de France now. Popovic has popped as well, and it's now all up to Nibali to go alone. His aim is not to worry about the riders up front. He doesn't care if he doesn't catch them. All he wants now is building time on the Wiggins group behind.
And the brain that he has, he took time there to keep eating, to keep taking on board calories, because he knows how important it is.
25 kilometres to go to the finish. They were due here just about 20 to 5. They're running on expected time today. At one stage, they were 15 minutes ahead. They're now on expected time down at the finish. Vincenzo Nibali, the man who's pulled the first big attack of the Tour against Bradley Wiggins. A planned move today. Now he's taking on everything. He's been eating, he's got more fluid. Very soon they won't be allowed to come up alongside him. We're running into the last 24 kilometres of the day. Flash of Andre Grifko there. These are guys who are in the breakaway and are falling back.
Alexander Vinokourov, arrière du peloton, the back end of the bike race here this afternoon. He's disappearing because of the pressure in the field. And it's still Richie Porte who's at the front of this group, and he's just picked up Peter Sagan. I'll tell you what, Phil, they're actually starting to pull back on Vincenzo Nibali, because they're actually now only about 26 seconds behind him. If we look a little bit further down the road, we may well start to get a glimpse of Richie Porte.
Well, that might account for the pain on Richie Porte's face, trying to nail back Nibali. And they're all closing in on the leaders. Nibali is only 3:05 now behind those four riders out front. We are looking at the wheels of the four leaders now as they continue up the climb here. But the work being done by Richie Porte, the Australian on Team Sky, is keeping Bradley Wiggins in close contact with Vincenzo Nibali. Nibali is only 2:48 behind those four leaders, and the peloton 3:10.
Well, to put it into perspective, you have to understand that Richie Porte, in his own right, is a rider who could ride high in the overall standings of this race. He's finished in the top 10 of the Giro d'Italia, so when you've got a man of that caliber working for you, it makes you a very much more comfortable rider. But Bradley Wiggins has the confidence in his teammates. He's got the confidence in Chris Froome, who finished second overall in the Tour of Spain last year as well. So the four leaders now, they're losing big chunks of their time, but that's not really what is so important to them. The most important thing is to make sure they pull themselves back.
As we start to see TJ Van Garderen in the white on the right, the pace is just a little bit too quick for the youngster now. Back to the chase. This is the catch. Nibali has realized it doesn't work. He's feeling pretty sad about that, but it was a great move. Let's go back to the leaders for the top.
It was an excellent move, and it won't be the last one that Vincenzo Nibali makes. He wants to get himself into a podium position in Paris, and why not into a yellow jersey position as they pull him back. He looks across at Bradley Wiggins to see if there's been any pressure on the shoulder of the yellow jersey.
The four leaders continue up the climb as we've been going now for nearly 4.5 hours.
Well, now that they've caught Vincenzo Nibali, you'll notice the clock has started to stretch out again, because it's over 3 minutes now between the leading group of four riders on the road and Bradley Wiggins. And yes, this is going to be the winning break this afternoon, because they will not be seen again, because as they cross the summit here, it's downhill to the finish.
So Thomas Voigt kicks again, gets the summit, the new leader in the King of the Mountains. Vincenzo Nibali has been caught. Bradley Wiggins can breathe again. We still have Martinez, Kassar, Fofanov out front somewhere. And here we go again, a little bit of a move here.
This is Pierre Rolland.
Pierre Rolland who's gone. That's an interesting one. Pierre Rolland was the white jersey of last year's Tour.
And coming across, none other than Jurgen van den Broek.
Well, they will react to Jurgen van den Broek, I think. He's the dangerous Belgian rider. Pierre Rolland just trying to snatch a little time, but he's 10 minutes back at the moment. Jurgen van den Broek is countering the move. It's the carrot he wanted.
Well, they're trying to get themselves a little advantage before this next tricky descent starts. Pierre Rolland going over the top of the King of the Mountains point. And again, Phil, no reaction. But yes, maybe Cadel Evans thinks, I'll have a bit of that myself.
I don't think Cadel will move. I don't know, but he's too close to Wiggins right now. He's going to force Wiggins' two riders to continue the chase.
Well, there's about 20 seconds, and this is TJ Van Garderen, the rider who started the day in the yellow and white jersey, is the best young rider. He was dropped towards the top of the climb. He's trying to pull himself back into the peloton. In fact, they're only just around the corner there.
Well, I've just got a feeling TJ might save the day for that white jersey. If he finishes 43 seconds behind that group in front of him, he loses the white jersey. But the road should be more in his favour now. You're right. I've just seen the motorbike go around that corner. So TJ might get back into that group. They're just under the last 10 kilometres of the day. The four leaders are now coming away from the peloton. It's back to 3:32 to Wiggins. The work is still being done. Now Van den Broek is in between and still clear of the Bradley Wiggins bunch.
Well, I tell you what, you need to start cheering here, Phil, because I've just got race radio crackled in my ear. Jens Voigt is 10 seconds behind the four-man leading group. There he is. Look at the way he's going.
He's unbelievable, this man. He really, really is. He's the most popular bike rider around the world in any country or speak your language. He is an incredible man. He got dropped on the climb, but he held him in sight, and he has time trialed across the gap. He has joined them with just under 9 kilometres to go, and they're going to say, oh no, Voigt is back.
This is Van Garderen. He also is trying to get himself back into the bike race this afternoon.
TJ Van Garderen has just saved his white jersey to fight another day, because Rein Taramay is in that group, and Van Garderen was dropped on the climb, and he was only 42 seconds ahead of Ryan Taramay. We go back to the lead anyway. Voigt has come and gone. I don't believe it.
Yes, but Thomas Voeckler is not having any of that at all. He's responded immediately. He's clawing his way back to the German. Jens tried to catch them by surprise there. But watch out, wait now for the man in the orange jersey. He looks so calm and collected. He's responded to everything. Luis Leon Sanchez.
This is Jurgen van den Broek, still with the young French hope, Pierre Roland, who won on Alpe d'Huez last year and took home the white jersey as a result. Just checking if he's making progress over his shoulder by the look of it. Well, what we've seen today, Paul, is the riders are not accepting Bradley Wiggins as the winner of the Tour de France. They've hit him well today.
They've hit him well, and now all of a sudden it's Team Radio Shack who are turning the pace on the front here, and this is Chris Horner, another veteran of the sport, trying to pull back the group Roland and Van den Broek.
Yeah, and he won't want to go forward to his teammate Jens Voigt. They'd rather drink champagne with him in the hotel as the winner. Drevenant has decided to go, and Voeckler saying, well, come on, somebody attack him, because that's the move they weren't expecting. The one man who hasn't won a race in 3 years is trying to win today.
Jens Voigt refusing to work, shaking his head there, probably almost in difficulty trying to do any work. Looking for a bit of help there. Luis Leon Sanchez looks over his shoulder. He did half of the gap. Then all of a sudden, Thomas Voeckler is not necessarily going to work. He's going to try and accelerate and drag themselves back to Dries Devenants. They've got to pull it back now. If they start playing silly games here, they will lose a stage of the Tour de France, and they do not want to do that.
Well, this is the problem now. They're all, and there we go. Who else would it be but Jens Voigt? And now Voeckler's seen that and dives straight across to Sanchez and Scarponi. It's a good reaction, and he's been taken on pretty quickly, which means they should catch up with Dries Devenants. The last time Dries won a race was the 5th stage of the Tour of Austria in July 2009. Well, I should add, it's the only race he ever won.
I think Jens Voigt has cracked them there, Phil. They almost got to his back wheel, and he's just decided to keep going over the top now. They're going to have to get themselves organised very, very quickly, because I think Jens Voigt will close the gap down to Dries Devenants. If that happens, well, it's almost happened, you know. He's almost on the back wheel of the Belgian. The Belgian looks over his shoulder right now to say, uh-oh, what's going on here? Jens Voigt is coming across to me.
You're right, and Voeckler swung off the front there. Nobody went through on him, so the gap opened immediately here. The attacking riding of Jens Voigt is flogging those legs as he comes up now to catch up with the Belgian Dries Devenants.
Well, his mouth there, Phil, almost as wide as the Mersey tunnel as he tries to get as much air into his lungs as possible. Devenants kicked a second time. We start the final kilometre, Phil, is a slight drag up to the finish line, and that will actually give slight advantage to Dries Devenants unless Jens Voigt can get onto his slipstream.
Dries Devenants, the 28-year-old, is pushing on. In fact, he'll have his birthday on the day the Tour de France ends.
Thomas Voeckler now is coming across the gap. He's looking to try and get himself onto the wheel of Jens Voigt. This is the start of the climb. This man is out of the saddle. He's trying to push the pain barriers a little bit further forward. He's just trying to keep those wheels rolling over. But now Jens Voigt has found something else because he's closing the gap on the climb.
I hate to say it, but I think Dries's legs just left him. The look on his face there, those legs are screaming with pain now. But inch by inch, he's getting closer, and so too is Tommy Voeckler. Voeckler has jumped, he's bridging the gap. He's going to win this stage.
Well, he's gone off in pursuit of Dries Devenants. He's gone straight over the top, Thomas Voeckler. He didn't want to take Luis Leon Sanchez to the finish line here this afternoon, as he did in Saint-Flour last year, but he's still got about a kilometre to go.
Well, absolutely incredible. This man who almost retired from the Tour de France with a knee problem which he brought to the race, and now look at him winning a stage here. His family's here as well. So as they come up now, they'll see another Frenchman and another French victory in the Tour de France as we resume the race after yesterday's rest there. They're cheering him home. He just looks over his shoulder, doesn't he? He sees they're coming, but they're not coming quick enough. He kicks again. What about Jens Voigt? As now Sanchez is after him. He's still coming. It's 350 metres. Voeckler better kick again because Sanchez's face is telling another story here.
They're all in absolute agony at 300 metres to go. Voeckler knows he's not got it in the bag yet. He's still got to find something else. He's still got to find a little bit more energy. Sanchez is in pain.
Thomas Voeckler keeps checking where is the approach of Luis Leon Sanchez, and Thomas Voeckler is now just controlling the pace, and it's hurting him. 150, but Sanchez has blown. Jens Voigt has come back again. Remember the story of the tortoise and the hare, as now Voigt gets over the top. Thomas Voeckler is looking for his third win in history in the Tour de France. I have never seen a sprint quite as slow as this. Every man has committed themselves and have reached their limit. And for the Frenchman, he has really reached his limit today. He gets his third stage win in a Tour de France, and he gets the polka dot jersey as well.
Well, Scarponi gets second. Jens Voigt gets my vote for the incredible ride by him this afternoon, as we now start to see Van den Broek and Roland have picked up Sandy Cassar, Egoy Martinez and Dimitri Fofanov.
Well, this is a chase for time, remember, and the man on the front, Jurgen van den Broek, is not worried about finishing in 5th place. He is, as Dries Devenants comes in there, he gets the 5th place. This has been a great result for Thomas Voeckler. He was almost out of the Tour, and he's back.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Phil, I don't mean it in any derogatory way at all, but that's probably the slowest sprint I have seen in the Tour de France in many, many years. It was a question of survival. Last man standing. Back to the sprinter. Sandy Cassar is going to lead them over for 6th place. He's going to be challenged slightly there by Egoy Martinez as he stops the clock as well, but look behind.
Well, Evans has tried desperately on the approach to snick a second. Bradley Wiggins has jumped on every move. They're going to be all same time. Chris Froome has got the head of the peloton. I think Cadel is going to try one more sprint. He is. He's gone again. He doesn't care whether it's 1 second or 2. He wants to take something back. But Wiggins just steps on the gas. He only has to finish within 2 feet of that wheel to be given the same time. And Wiggins is having none of it here.
Well, Pinot is the one getting himself at the lead across the line. Wiggins looks back to see what the time gaps are like there this afternoon, make sure that everybody is in the group with him. Cadel Evans will continue to move like that through the next 10 days of this bike race. He'll look for any possible opportunity. TJ Van Garderen just comes in. He may well have just held on to his lead in the white jersey competition there, but he's lost a few seconds lead.
Right, let's check the stage result before we get on to the wider issues. No yellow jersey for Thomas Voeckler this year, but he gets a great stage win ahead of Michele Scarponi, Jens Voigt, Luis Leon Sanchez and Dries Devenants. Jurgen van den Broek came in at 2 minutes 44 as the only big name to have gained time. He picked up 32 seconds on the group containing Evans, Wiggins, Nicholas Roach, Nibali, Menchov and Froome. So nothing today for Evans or Nibali. They're still 1:53 and 2:23 respectively behind Bradley Wiggins. In fact, no change in the top 8 except for TJ Van Garderen dropping out of it and Jurgen van den Broek moving up. He was 5 minutes 20 off the lead this morning. He's now 4:48.